How's it going, everybody? Continue on. Going from First Corinthians 2 over to chapter 3. One more verse in chapter 2, and then 10 verses in chapter 3. Who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? But we understand these things, for we have the mind of Christ. For who have known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? No, but we have the mind of Christ. Very good. Dear brothers and sisters, when I was with you, I couldn't talk to you as I would to spiritual people. I had to talk as though you belong to this world or as though you were infants in Christ. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, this is known as the real sexy, sex craved, fleshy community, the Corinthians. They had a lot of sex on the brain, a lot of fornication, things like that, adultery, so on and so forth. I had to feed you with milk, not with solid food, because you weren't ready for anything stronger. And this happens to me all the time. And there's nothing like there's nothing like trying to give somebody a glass of water with a fire hydrant. Can't do that. And I do it all the time. And there's a lot of times I just don't have a lot of finesse. And, but when I'm speaking to somebody individually, usually, but on Facebook, when I'm just speaking to kind of everybody all at once, it's tough. And people eventually fall in, believe it or not. They get it. They see a lot of stuff. It takes time. My thing is like these college football coaches describe when it's a new coach and the fake media asks the fake coach. I call them fake because it's all scripted. It's not a real sport. But I'll use one of their quotes anyway. Coach, how are you going to install the offense, your new system to these players, your new players? Do you just give them little bits at a time, or do you just throw the whole playbook at them and then overwhelm them and then just kind of go back and reteach and go back over it slowly after you've thrown it all at them? That's what I do. I kind of throw everything at people to give them sort of an over, and it's the same way they do with their predictive programming. They've predictively programmed the whole earth into accepting or being ready for whatever's coming through their music videos, TV shows, comedians, stand-up routines, and of course, movies, motion pictures, and big screen, DVD, streaming, doesn't matter. So your brain is massaged because it's all been thrown at you. And then they go back and reteach slowly. I'll hear something in a commercial where they're teaching you mystery, Babylonian thoughts, beliefs, terminology. In a car commercial, they'll tell you this stuff. Man was born to be what he was meant to be, free. Just car commercials aren't about cars anymore. They're about life because they're putting their spin on everything. So that's what I do. I'll do the exact opposite. They're copycats of us anyway, even though they don't know it, but spiritually they are. Their world is an upside down version of our world. So I like to throw everything at somebody and then kind of come back and slowly reteach it using Bible verse at a time after giving an overview. I had to feed you with milk and not solid food because you weren't ready for anything stronger, and you still aren't ready. For you are still controlled by your sinful nature. You are jealous of one another and quarrel with each other. Doesn't that prove you are controlled by your sinful nature? Aren't you living like people of the world? When one of you says, I'm a follower of Paul, another says, I follow Apollos, aren't you acting just like people of the world? After all, who is Apollos? Who is Paul? Are we only God's servants through whom you believe the good news? Each of us did the work the Lord gave us. I planted the seed in your hearts, and Apollos watered it, but it was God who made it grow. It's not important who does the planting or who does the watering. What's important is that God makes the seed grow. The one who plants and the one who waters work together with the same purpose, and both will be rewarded for their own hard work. For we are both God's workers, and you are God's field. You are God's building. Well, that was all New Living Translation. Let's just finish it off. Because of God's grace to me, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it, but whoever is building on this foundation must be very careful. Well, it's very interesting to read. The Corinthians is gigantic. And it is a very tough read, very hard to understand. And I, brethren, could not speak to you as unto spiritual, but as carnal, even as unto babes in Christ. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hither ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. For ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men? Aren't you acting like the goats? Galatians 5:19-21, King James Version, Bible Gateway. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envying, murders, drunkenness, reveling. Those which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom. The Lord will have to call you out of these items. You won't completely be sin-free. You'll still have that sense of self, which is all you need to be a sinner. You're never not without sin. The way your temper could be affected, the way your personality can still change based off something somebody does or says. You're never going to be perfect. You're always going to be stuck in this fleshly body. But adultery, fornication, so you go back through and you read through those, then you go back to our study. He says, envying, strife, wasn't that two of our sins we just spoke of? Envying, strife. So are we sure that they're sheep that he's talking to? Well, we assume the basis or the base of it is, but that not all of them are sheep. There's no way. Very doubtful. Excuse me. For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos. Are you not carnal? Who then is Paul? Who then is Apollos, but ministers by whom ye believed, even as the Lord gave to every man? I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but God that giveth the increase. Now he that planteth and that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we are laborers together with God. Ye are God's husbandry. Ye are God's building. according to the grace of God, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. I love you very much. I'm going to read Daniel. Sorry. Thought I was done, didn't I? Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream of the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that you saw, which grew and was strong, and the height that reached to heaven, and the sight thereof was larger than the whole earth, or as large as the whole earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, upon whose branches and the fowls of heaven had their habitation. See, this represents Nebuchadnezzar. He's the tree that is about to be hewn down, and he's going to be humbled. God's going to make him as a beast of the field, because the Lord is going to call Nebuchadnezzar. He is one of the preordained sheep. That's right. This leader of Babylon is about to get the call. He's telling you the process. He's the one writing this chapter. You don't get to write something in the Bible if you're not a sheep. Oh, whose leaves were fair and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all, because see, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom fed the whole earth, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of heaven had their habitation. So he's in charge of everything. So by proxy, in charge of all humans and all animals. He decides what dies and what doesn't. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong. For thy greatness is grown and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. In other words, you cover the whole earth, your kingdom does. And whereas the king saw a watcher, or an angel, and holy one coming down from heaven, saying, hew down the tree and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth. So they're going to cut Nebuchadnezzar off at the knees, physically and mentally. They're going to give him the beast of a they're going to give him the heart and mind of a beast, and he will dwell with the animals for 7 years. His hair is going to grow long. His nails are going to grow long. In other words, he's been humbled. And then the Lord will call him out of it. And after that, he will proclaim the one true God, not gods like he's doing now. Even with a band of iron of brass and the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with the dew of the heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and it is the decree of the Most High, which come upon my Lord, the king. In other words, this is the decree that came from heaven concerning what's about to take place about you, O king. Love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.